Isn't it okay just to say, and I'm doing this stuff for you and meeting your needs and doing the physical part of the work? Welcome to the Kickass Couples Podcast. This is the place where we help committed couples who want to level up their marriage experience newfound clarity, hope, and confidence. We're Matthew and Kim, co-hosts and husband and wife.
In 26 years together, we've seen a lot and never thought it could be as good as it is right now. We're here to help you successfully navigate the messy, dirty, and wonderful world of marriage.
We believe all couples deserve and are capable of experiencing an extraordinary and fulfilling marriage. And each week, we're bringing you life lessons from real-life successful couples to help you grow and strengthen your relationship.
We'll get started right after this message.
If you want to learn how to experience the best, most fulfilling year of your marriage, we invite you to order Matthew's new book, Kickass Husband, Winning at Life, Marriage, and Sex. You can get it at Amazon.com or visit Matthew's website, www.matthewphoffman.com. Again, that's Amazon.com or www.matthewphoffman.com. And now, back to the show.
Murshidah Said is a multi-award-winning international speaker and consultant on personal and corporate transformation. After graduating with a Bachelor of Economics and Sociology from the National University of Singapore in 1993, Murshidah has been running successful businesses expanding throughout Asia over the last 20 years. She is the main host of Jewels of Inspiration radio show on Malaysia's IKIM FM radio station. Murshidah was awarded the Best Personal Brand and as Life Transformer by the Singapore Marketing Institute in 2017. Murshidah is acknowledged as one of the top 10 transformational female leaders in 2021 by Exelon magazine in the United States and as one of the top 100 transformation leaders for value creation by Go Global Business School in Singapore. She advocates for Malaysia's underprivileged communities, which include the destitute, homeless, sex workers, runaway teenagers, and abused women and children. Murshidah makes frequent trips to help spread awareness of those in need and organizes street feeding events to help the homeless. She collaborates with NGOs to run mindset change programs for the underprivileged, as well as for counselors and volunteers. Murshidah has a beautiful daughter with her husband Zeal, and together they form a dynamic team. Zeal is a trainer, speaker, and life coach with more than 15 years of experience in the professional training and coaching industry. He is also a socially conscious entrepreneur. Zeal has trained hundreds of people to become trainers, coaches, and overcome mindset and communication challenges. Murshidah and Zeal's company, Love and Respect Transformation Center, was awarded the Brands for Good Award in 2019 for business model and community giving in Singapore, and also received the Green Malaysia Project Management Award 2020 under the category of sustainability. Zeal has been featured in various media channels, including TV, radio, newspapers, and magazines like NTV7, IKIM Radio, Harian Metro, Star, Vulcan, and many others. In today's recap edition episode, Kim and I will share our key takeaways from our interview with this dynamic couple. We'll break down concepts, relationship qualities, and key pillar points that they've used to build their rock-solid relationship that will stand the test of time. Welcome back to the Kickass Couples Podcast. We get to be in the studio today to bring you this excellent recap episode with Murshidah Said and Zeal Zainuddin. They were a fun, connected couple. And Kim, they were coming at us from Malaysia. They were 10 hours ahead. We did this interview at 9 p.m. at night, 9 a.m. their time in the morning, and they wanted a nice, quiet, private place. They went and grabbed a hotel room together so they could not be distracted and have some wonderful time with us. We've had international before with Canada, but this was our first Asian interview from over in that area.
Yes, it was great. Loved meeting them. They both have just hearts of service. I love what they said about making them kick ass, and that is their love and respect for each other. And also, I would even add to that their love and respect for mankind.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, their tagline in their business is love and respect. And that's the coaching and the speaking and the giving. They are living that motto, that commitment in every area of their lives. And it's just such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I agree. And I think another thing that they said, is that throughout all of this, all of the energy that they put into their business, all the energy that they're putting into working within their community, and even in migrant areas, which we'll talk a little bit more about that later, through it all, they continue to respect, love, and support each other in what they each love to do.
Yeah, it's a beautiful relationship. And we've talked to a lot of couples. A lot of our last interviews have been couples that work together as well. And so you got 24/7 on the live and the work, and that can provide a lot of extra challenges, but they've done a fantastic job of navigating this and having an incredible union. What was one of your first big takeaways?
Well, I think that culturally for both of them, and more so for Murshidah than Zeal, they both came from families that didn't show a lot of affection for each other. Or I should say openly affectionate with each other. And so for both of them coming from that and then meeting each other and coming to their own relationship and developing their own habits, I think that it was difficult for both of them to be, they wanted to be affectionate and show affection, but I think that was a real challenge for both of them. And so a takeaway that I had was both of them really learning and adapting to show open affection for one another in where it might be considered very culturally inappropriate.
Yeah, I remember Murshidah shared, Kim, that she said that when she met Zeal's family and saw him hug or kiss his sister, she was astonished and kind of aghast, like, he's showing love to his sister in public.
Yeah. They wouldn't even shake hands in her household.
Yeah.
And so I think coming into a relationship where one has a little bit of that and one has none at all, but really realizing that she would like to be open to that, but realizing it's an adjustment and I need to be taught that behavior. I want to learn.
Yeah. When we asked Zeal and Murshidah what makes them kick ass, Zeal talked about their commitment for each other. And part of that commitment was giving them what they needed. And he shared a story about one of his dreams. He said, I have hopes and dreams. It's not all about me chasing what Murshidah wants, but it's also about me pursuing my things and her supporting me in that. And she does it beautifully. And he shared that example about it was always his dream to go hear Les Brown speak and go to one of his events. And this was, there was an opportunity that they had to do that. And it was not easy to do because it was airfare and booking and expensive and time away. But Murshidah knew how important it was to him. And there she was supporting him financially in a financially tough time for him to be able to experience something that was really one of his hopes and dreams. And that is at such the essence, Kim, about a successful relationship is not just knowing the hopes and dreams of your partner and your spouse, but working to help them achieve those things too.
Yeah, the encouragement, the support, you can do this. If this is important to you, we're going to make this happen. How can we make this happen? All of those things come into play. And I think that when we show that to our partner, we're showing our commitment towards them.
Yeah, I mean, our actions show and demonstrate love and commitment, right? Affection. And he needed that. But there's also, Kim, kind of the emotional side that you have to express in a relationship that really comes down to part of commitment, right? I mean, what we've talked about with a lot of different people about being able to express those emotions. And what do you think? Why is it so important, the emotional side of commitment? Why can't we just stay? Isn't it okay just to say, and I'm doing this stuff for you and meeting your needs and doing the physical part of the work?
Well, I believe that it's great that you're doing the physical part of the work, but I think it's also important to share and be open about your feelings and support the emotional side, the wants, the needs, the desires of your partner. You have to actually talk about those things and voice those things.
So that discourse is huge. And I think that
it's part of communicating.
They seem to have a wonderful dance in that communication about that, in that they were really open with emotion and hopes and dreams. And they did both of those things. They did the physical things for each other, the acts of service and dedication. But there's a balance required. And I think that they had a beautiful balance in their relationship, which is what made them such an attractive couple.
Sure. They also talked about really being committed to keeping your word. They really focused a lot on when you say something, you mean it. And when you say something, you do it. And so really being committed to your truth.
I think that's a great idea. You know, Kim, we in Kickass Husband, the book that I wrote with Chris Cambus, we kind of talked about a book by Miguel Ruiz called The 4 Agreements. And one of those 4 agreements that he talks about that you have to keep for yourselves is being impeccable with your word. And I think, you know, you're talking about that exact concept. And that means if your word isn't good, then it's just going to fall apart from there. But if you're impeccable with your word and you say what you mean and you mean what you say, then that just gives such a great foundation of commitment, because your partner and spouse can rely upon you and trust you to follow through on what you're saying and know that it's not just lip service.
Sure.
When it comes to creating a kick-ass marriage, do you ever wonder what you could be doing better? Have you ever thought how helpful it would be to be a part of a like-minded community of other imperfect couples who want to level up in their number one relationship? Come visit Kickass Couples Nation, where you can talk with people just like you who are looking for ways to invest in and increase their joy, commitment, and fulfillment in their most important human relationship. You'll have access to a team of licensed marriage therapists, coaches, articles, podcasts, live webinars, and more. Just visit MatthewPHoffman.com so you can learn more about a community that's ready to help you level up. That's MatthewPHoffman.com so you can become of the growing Kick-Ass Couples Nation right now.
I want to touch a little bit on how they communicate with each other. I love that they love sharing meal together. So food is important to them.
Yeah.
And
to us too.
It is. It definitely
it's
is.
An important time together.
But what I really took away from their time together when they share a meal and when they carve out time to be together, they want to be at their highest energy. And that's just a great thing to note and to remember when we are communicating, intentional communication with our partner. Being at your highest energy is key. And I think it adds a lot of value to being very intentional about those times that you communicate.
Yeah, timing is critical, right? I mean, you and I'm much more of a morning person. I like to get up early and get things done. And you know, I get up at 5 or 5:30 in the morning, and then you get up a little bit later, and it takes you a while to kind of get in and find your groove. If I asked you to do something hot and heavy and intense first thing in the morning, it would be tougher for you. And on the flip side, if you want to engage me in some kind of a deep communication or talk about weighty issues at 10 o'clock at night, I'm going to be toast because I'll be falling asleep. I'll be tired. I might be irritated. And we've learned that dance that if we're going to have a discussion or want to have a planned connection, it's got to be at a time when we're both at high energy, which is we found late morning or early afternoon or early evening, but not late evening and not first thing in the morning, because we know we're not going to really get the results we want, right?
If you're like that, if you're like we are, you're at opposite ends of the spectrum with your energy points, then definitely I would encourage you to find a time midday that you can really connect and be at your best for your partner.
It sounds silly, but getting agreement, like what's the best time for us to have those conversations about weighty, serious, important. It doesn't have to be necessarily personal. It might be about finances. It might be about what to do about a child or a family member, but just making sure that you're in agreement that, hey, this is a good time physically, emotionally.
Well, I was getting my feelings hurt. I would come to you at 10 o'clock at night and be just charged up, amped up, ready to have some good conversation. And you could hardly put two words together. And then I would become really sort of agitated and almost angry sometimes that, oh, he doesn't want to talk to me. He doesn't want to engage with me. And then you have all these other voices in your head. Well, he doesn't like me anymore. And so you're right. You really do have to be intentional and have those conversations, as silly as it may sound, about communicating.
Yeah. And another thing that Murshidah said that I thought was a great takeaway for me about communication is being really able to understand and know what that person is going through. Because if you're not in touch with their inner world, right? If you don't understand their psyche, what they're struggling with, if they're feeling great, if they're feeling lousy about themselves or something's weighing on them, if you're not connected and maintaining that understanding with them, then you guys, you're going to be on separate paths and you're going to become pretty distant and you're not going to know why. Mm-hmm. And I think that I really liked it when she talked about knowing what they're going through and experiencing, and then if they have a specific need, helping them get it met.
Yeah. What about conflict resolution? What did you take away from this interview on conflict?
It was interesting because you and I had some discussion about it. Murshidah talked about when you're angry and there's a high level of anger, that the other person does not need to have the same amount of anger at the same time. And I think what she was really talking about is when your spouse is charged up and on fire about something, if you meet that energy level and you're angry and you're wild up and you're screaming, it is not going to work. She said you have to be the counterbalance. So if they're amped up, you can be that smooth, calm voice that can counterbalance that and work through something. It's kind of the yin and yang, so you're not trying to match and meet their level of energy, or, oh, you think that's bad. Well, my bad is worse than yours, right? Yeah. I've got to win the who's got it worse or whose day is going, the poorer than the other ones. It's not about that at all.
So what if we're both amped up and we're just both at this height of anger and, it's starting to get ugly? What do we do then?
Oh, it's timeout time. Right. You say, hey, well, let's table it. If you feel like you're both on that level because you're both so passionate about something, then you just got to take a timeout, take a step away and do something for at least 30 minutes or say, you know what, we both seem really highly charged about this. Let's pick what's another good time that we can come back to it when we have cooler heads and the emotion. If you're flooded in that frontal lobe and you're charged and you're up,
you can't
stop.
Think straight.
Yeah, just say, you know what, we got to let it dissipate, let the storm blow through and come back when things are in a cooler state.
Great advice.
Yeah.
Great advice. I really appreciated what, Zeal's approach to conflict. And that was that he's a very spiritual person. And before he goes into any kind of discussion with Murshidah, it could be a coworker. In general, he centers himself first. So he might pray, meditate. He makes sure that he is in check, in balance, that his spirit is quieted before he approaches anyone or anything in conflict.
I love that. And
I did too.
And they had a special practice, Kim. He said it's very basic, but it's called What I Feel Like Sharing. And the rule, and I love this because it's a practice, and it's a practice they've negotiated together, got an agreement on, and use.
Anyone can do. We should all be doing this.
When any family member, it might be their daughter, it might be him or her, and you take turns and you say, hey, hey, sweetheart, this is what I feel like sharing. And that means they just have to listen. And they can not comment, not refute, not disallow or disavow what you're doing, but let you get it out. And if you have clarifying questions, you ask them. And then when they're done, empathetic listening, repeat it back. And then you get to say, well, this is what I feel like sharing. And it's just about listening so that they have a chance to get it out and know that they've been heard. And I thought that was great. And Kim, I really also loved, you brought up about his Zeal spiritual practices to get yourself centered. Everybody needs to have some kind of practice to get themselves calmed and centered and to make them the best self they can be. I have a routine in the morning where I pray, I do a Bible study, I do some meditation, I may do some breathing. And I do all those things to feed myself, but also to prep me for the day of whatever comes ahead, so that when things come at me, I'm already coming from a place of my true self and of balance. So I love that he has that discipline and that he works on doing that to avoid conflict, but also to be true to himself. And I think it's fantastic for, to encourage everybody to have some sort of practice, a spiritual practice that you use to get yourself calm and centered and take on the challenges that come at you each day.
Yeah. I hate to give away too much more about this episode because it really was great. And I want people to go back and listen to it in its entirety. But there is one thing that Zeal said in closing, wanted to just talk a little bit about it. Just thinking beyond ourselves comes in, and it puts a lot of gratitude in us. And I love that idea and that concept of going out into the community, helping others. And they do a lot of this. They go and help feed areas that are underprivileged and migrant areas. They have a lot of intentional work that they do. And so helping serve within their community, outside of their community, brings a lot of gratitude to them. And I love that because their motto is serving God and serving humanity. And what better motto is there?
Oh, it's a great one. And I think the Murshidah said it great. She said, when you're wallowing in your own junk and you're upset or angry or things aren't going your way or you feel like the world is ending or you're lowest of low, she said, when you go out to serve somebody else, it will help alleviate that feeling for yourself and will help you do something good for somebody else. She said, when you go out and see a 2-week-old child that's been abandoned at an orphanage that just needs to be held and loved, it makes your problem seem quite small compared to what they're doing. And you get engaged in service, it helps bring you out of your own funk because you're not focusing on yourself, but you're focusing on your mission and on serving others. And,
I couldn't agree more with you on that.
And they were just, what a joyful, radiant, happy, loving couple. And I hope you'll listen to the whole episode and check out where to find them. So refreshing to meet two people so committed to each other and committed to service. Really had a great time with this couple.
I agree, Matthew. They were really very interesting, and they were also very humble. And I know that they do a lot in their community, and I thought they were remarkable.
Yeah, love it. Go back and listen to the whole episode if you haven't. If you like that episode or this one, please give us a rating. And we hope you'll come visit us at MatthewPHoffman.com. Check out Kickass Couples Nation. And if you're struggling with or facing some of the things that this couple seems to have in the bag, we'd love to help you. So come to MatthewPHoffman.com, check us out, and let us know how we can help you on your journey.
And remember, happily ever after doesn't just happen. It's on purpose. That's all we've got for this episode of the Kickass Couples Podcast. If you like the content of this show, you'll love Matthew's newly released book, Kickass Husband, Winning at Life, Marriage, and Sex. To receive a digital mini book of quotes and images from the book, all you have to do is rate this show and leave a review in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you tune in to listen. Then email us a screenshot of your review at podcast@kickasscouplespodcast.com, and we'll get it over to you right away. Until next time, remember, happily ever after doesn't just happen, it's on purpose.